Denise, and I am the commissioner of the Nelson County Kickball Association. Good morning, Nelson County Schools. This is the official meeting of the Nelson County Kickball Association. We are going to do our official bracket this morning. I have with me today Mr. Philip Mattingly, bracketologist of the Nelson County Schools. I also have my sports commentators. I think that's Tom and Ernie. Welcome, guys. I hope you'll give us some good input today for our official meeting.
Excited to be with you, Denise.
Well, excited to have you. And how about you, Tom? How do you feel about this big game in the Nelson County?
I think it's going to be a hotly contested matchup, and I'm looking forward to seeing the dirt and the sweat on Friday night.
Okay, guys, let's get started. We haven't got all day, so we're going to draw for our brackets. We have all of our schools in our big bowl here. We're going to officially start with the first team, which will be team number 1 seeded, and that will be Thomas Nelson High School. Oh. Mr. Bracketology, please place that up on my bracket. Team number 2. We have New Haven. So our first game will begin at 5 o'clock. Will be between Thomas Nelson and New Haven.
There you go.
Thank you.
Ernie and I here, we really want you to be able to talk through who you think is going to win each game, and we want to come up with a kickball champion. So go ahead and let's look at game number 1 there between Thomas Nelson and New Haven, kicking off at 5 p.m.
Well, I think that's going to be a real tough game. There's going to be a lot of long kickers in that game. So that game will probably go about 1 inning, and that's it. I think Thomas Nelson will pull that one out.
This is probably the first real test for Miss Newton in her new role as principal at Thomas Nelson High School. It'll be interesting to see how she handles that pressure.
Also got a first-year leader down at New Haven with Miss Harden. While she has some experience as a principal, she has a little experience as a kickball manager. Next up, we got Foster Heights versus Nelson County High School, Mr. Mattingly. How do you see
that one?
How do you see that battle coming out?
I think Foster Heights will play them hard, and I think they'll pull that one out.
So you think Foster Heights is going to take down Nelson County?
Yes.
All right.
Go Huskies, yeah. Put it up there.
You know, Tom, I saw a video earlier in the week of Mr. Hill catching Cheetos on his head. It'll be interesting to see how that skill translates to the kickball field.
Next up, we've got the Academy versus the Early Learning Center. Caterpillar versus the Compass.
Now, Mr. Bracketology, I heard a little rumor that there was some...
Yeah, I was pulling for ELC, but since they had to play Academy, I think Academy is going...
Yeah, there's been some recruiting going on.
I know it.
Next up, in the 4th game, we got Bloomfield Elementary versus the ATC.
I think ATC will come out on that one pretty good.
Oh, I have to go with you. I think you're right on that.
Supposedly they're building a tiny house out of a bus over there at the ATC. Not sure how that translates into kickball, but I feel good about it.
Okay, let's look at that first bye game. We got BMS and Thomas Nelson. What do you think about that there, Tom?
Well, you know, I do know that Matt Bolka has a long history in kickball in his college days out there at Thomas Nelson. But let's be serious. Rodney Morganson is the legend, and his left foot is better than two people's right foot. The man can kick.
Okay.
Made of lead, I believe.
Powerful.
Like I say, he'll cheat to win.
Yeah. Philip
well,
said it
you
best.
know, there are rules, Mr.
Well, that's all right.
And we will be
He'll be
enforcing
trying to bend the
those
rules
rules
somehow.
not happening.
Next up, we got Foster Heights versus Old Kentucky Home Middle.
I believe Foster Heights come out of that game.
I'd say that OKH is going to be Gator bait. I agree with you.
I have to agree with you. Right on.
How about it, Ernie? What do you think about that next game there? Them new
Boston,
shoes.
The new shoes versus the academy.
Mm-hmm. You know, they're heavy recruiting coming out of that academy.
Well, I believe that it's hard to tell because we've heard these rumors about who's coming from the academy, but we don't know who they are.
You got it.
So, I think for ethics' sake, Boston looks like the better pick to me because I know who they're bringing.
You agree with that, Mr. Bracketology?
I think so. I think we're going to go out on a limb here and say Boston's going to win that.
Boston might also be bringing some unicorns with them, and that adds a whole nother layer to this ball game.
Unicorns?
They've had some unicorns down in Boston lately.
Okay, take a look at that last game there. ATC and Cox's Creek in that bottom bracket. Got the Bulldogs.
I don't know much about ATC, but I'm going to pick Cox's Creek.
So then we got our two semifinal games here. Bloomfield Middle School versus Foster Heights and Boston versus Cox's Creek. Mr. Manley, where do you stand there in the semifinals?
I don't know. I like Rodney and his big feet, and I believe Rodney is going to pull one off.
Tremendous insight there, Mr. Bracketology.
Well, I don't know. I might have to eat a little dirt, but we'll see.
Okay.
And we got the elementary school in the K-8, Boston and Cox's Creek coming in.
This will be a good game between those two schools. But I'm liking them new shoes.
The rumor is that Miss Victory's husband has had a long history in the NCKBA, so that might be another X factor in that game.
Yes, it might.
Supposedly in his early 20s, he was a part of an Atlanta kickball league where they had a couple of long kick records down there, the Victories. So, and you really hate to go against a victory. And, right there in their name, it says a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
absolutely.
We're going to go with a wild shot then.
They are. They're really the underdog there.
Yeah.
No pun intended of the Bulldogs. But the Cox's Creek group is looking like they have a strong chance of getting into the finals versus Bloomfield Middle.
Absolutely. So the final match, Bloomfield Middle versus Cox's Creek.
Well,
Mr. Bracketologist,
I think we're going to go this way.
And there you go.
Wow.
Tell us a little more about that pick, Mr. Manley.
Well, y'all been telling me about this guy. Now, I'm anxious to see him, and I think he's going to bring some life into this Cox's Creek team.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to watch that game as well. I think you've done a great job, Mr. Bracketologist, in your picks. They seem to be well thought out.
We got to have some rules. So the Nelson County Kickball Association has established a few rules, and we are going to stand by those rules. They're going to be tight. Not going to have any arguing or any disagreements. What I say will go. So here is rule number 1. Time is of an essence because we have 11 games. So we're going to move just like that. Each game will consist of only one inning, at least 10 players on a team. And on that team, you must have a kicking order, and no more than 50% of your team can be consisting of spouses. So don't be overloading. That's not going to happen. All righty. Rule number 4. Timeouts per team. 2 outs per team. We are going to have a 3-run rule, and the game will be over. 3 runs, first team to get it, the game is over, and you move on. If no one scores, both teams are eliminated. Sorry, but that's the way the ball bounces. Top team on the bracket kicks first. So, Thomas Nelson will be kicking first against New Haven in that game. So, Thomas Nelson, you're up. You're on deck. Alrighty, and number 8, if not over by 7:05, we will have a kickoff. 1 player from each team kicks for the longest distance. So watch out, BMS. Let's see what Rodney's foot has for that game, if that happens. So there you go. You'll have all of the official rules posted, and we are going to stick by those rules, and it will be a wonderful evening for the first annual Nelson County kickball game.